Hey guys, I'm going to be showing you how to replace the rear rotors on this 2010 Toyota Camry. And yeah, pretty straightforward. I'm not changing out pads, but I'll show you what you're probably going to want to do if you're going to do pads, which you should if they're worn out. Pads and rotors, they go together. But anyhow, let's get this wheel off. 21 millimeter wheel nuts. All right, now we got that off, we need to get our brake caliper off to start. So those should be 14 millimeter bolts. And then we can get our caliper off. Now these calipers are a full aluminum body caliper. They're very light. So you can just set it off to the side if you want. Really doesn't put any strain on the hose. Completely up to you though, if you want to hang it off of the coil or somewhere. Totally up to you. Take our brake pads out now. And I'm going to remove this bracket. The bolts that hold the bracket onto the back are also 14 millimeter, which is convenient. So go ahead and get those removed. And once we get that off, now we'll be able to remove our disc. Sometimes they do get stuck on to the hub if they're very rusty. Oops. But luckily this one come right off. They do give you threaded holes, so you could use a bolt and start that in there and just wrench it in. 2 bolts would be the best, and then you can just do one after another and just keep going back, and it walks the rotor off of the hub. So we got this off now. What happens if this is really, really rusty is a lip will build up on the inside of here where the shoes do not contact. And you may need to back your emergency brake shoes off. And in order to do that, there's a little rubber grommet here that you remove, which gives you access through one of these holes to adjust the emergency brake shoe adjusting star. It's a little wheel, and you just use a flathead screwdriver and back that off, and the emergency brake shoes will move inwards and give you some more room to hopefully get past that rust ridge if yours are like really, really rusty. But if they're that bad, chances are the emergency brakes and hardware will probably be all rusty and garbage anyways. But the bracket that holds the brake pads, if you're putting new brake pads on, there's a couple things that you really want to service at this point in time. One is the slider pins. You see how nice and free that is? And that's how they should be. If they're really, really stuck, you'll want to clean the pins. And also you'll want to, usually I take the rubbers out and clean the bore that the pin goes into. There's a bunch of different tools that you can use, wire brush, bore cleaning kit, and just a wire wheel. Also underneath of these clips as well, there's usually rust that will build up. You can see some rust already there. And what happens is the rust builds up and it puts pressure. These clips move inwards and it squeezes on the brake pad, so the brake pad cannot move freely in the holder. And then they drag and cause excessive heat buildup in your disc, which can contribute to warping. Also decreases fuel economy, premature pad wear, the list goes on. So very important that these cradles, these brake pad holders or caliper bracket, whatever you want to call it, is serviced prior to installing your new brakes. And also this hub has already been cleaned, but a lot of times these are very rusty. So once again, need to remove the rust, have a clean surface so that when we put the disc on, everything's flush and true. and you'll get a nice smooth brake pedal when you're slowing down. Otherwise, if you have a bunch of rust on there and you put a fresh disc on, chances are when you go to slow down, especially highway speeds, you're going to have a brake pedal pulsation, and you'll probably feel it more so in the seat than the steering wheel, indicating it's coming from rear brakes. So I'm just going to put, actually this has already got some lube on there. Usually put a little bit of lube on the face, making sure not to get on any on the wheel studs. And I'm going to go ahead and grab my new discs, and we'll get those installed, and we'll go backwards. I'll give you some torque specs as well while we're doing it.
Go.
Okay, so we got our new disc. We're going to put that on. Just make note where this hole goes, because this hole and this hole are spaced differently. You can see this one's a little bit closer this way. This one's a little bit closer this way. So we can see there. That's where we want that to go. If you don't line that up properly, you're not going to have proper access to that adjuster screw that I was talking about. And yeah, not very good. So let's get this reinstalled and put this bracket on, get our bolts started. And you're going to torque those down to 46 foot-pounds. If you're the kind of guy that, or gal, that wants to torque your hardware, that's what you're going to tighten it to. Okay, now we get our pads. Now, normally you put a little bit of lube on the ends of these pads, just the contact points. These already have some on there. You could use whatever you would like, whether it be anti-seize or specific brake lube for pads. Just watch not to get it on the surface of the disc or the friction material of the pads. We don't want any contamination on there. You could also put a little bit here and here, the contact points of the brake caliper, as well as a little circle of it on the back for the piston of the caliper. We slide our caliper on, grab our mounting hardware, and get that installed. And you can torque those two bolts down to 20 foot-pounds if you're in the torquing mood. And just like that. And now we're ready to put our wheel on. I usually just give this a little spin first and make sure that we're not rubbing on anything. Sometimes these backing plates get a little rotten and have a tendency of rubbing against the disc, making some noise. So I like to just make sure everything's good before we put the wheel on and find out that it's rubbing later on, which sucks to deal with. So, throw our wheel on. Get our wheel nuts started. Now these wheels in particular, Toyota likes to use this style of nut. This is for aluminum wheels in Toyota world, and not the Acorn style ones that are for steel wheels. Just the design of the rim, it actually clamps down on this flat washer portion, and the washer itself needs to be free to achieve proper torque. Toyota actually brought a service bulletin for that. So, and vice versa. If you have steel wheels on your car, do not use these wheel nuts, because they do not have enough of a taper on the end of the nut. Have a tendency to punch through the rim, and you just really don't want that. Now we're just going to torque these wheel nuts. Toyota says 86, it's 76 foot-pounds, but I want to say 86. But really, I put them to 100. Up to you whether you want to put them to 100, but that's what I've always done. Never damaged anything, never had wheels come off. So I like to say 100. Anyhow, if you have any questions, throw them down in the comments below. I'd be glad to answer any questions you may have. Also, thanks for watching. Give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video and it helps. and subscribe for more content. We'll see you in the next one.